Okay, we're only nearly a month late, but here's our Halloween 31 for 31. All right.
Coming into Christmas.
No, I outdid myself. I did 53 for 31.
So 53 for 31. Nearly double.
Yeah, but that was my goal, was to try and double it. And I realised in the last 2 days it wasn't going to happen.
You only had like 9 more to do. 53.
I was a little burnt. I love horror. I really do love horror.
Yeah.
But like any genre, if you watch 53 movies in a row, you're going to be like, I need something else.
You needed a break. Yeah.
So I switched over to true crime documentaries after that. I don't know if that's much of a break, but let's just make things a little more real and scary for me. But we're going to talk about them next.
Did you count all the horror movies we watched? Like you definitely didn't. You definitely only watched 53. You know,
I am now in the habit of I'm going to record every movie I watch. I'm going to put it. I'm going to keep it on a list because I find it easier to talk about. As soon as I had this list written, because I was keeping it as I was going along.
Yeah.
The idea of doing this podcast this episode of the podcast got easier. And there's been times where we've kind of tried to talk about movies because I suck at reviewing movies because I'm too positive.
You like everything.
I am. I'm way too positive. And you'll see that here as we go through all these. I like most of these. I like all of them. I'll probably have a complaint here and there, but to the most part, I enjoyed everything I watched. And that's the thing, I like to just zone out and enjoy the stuff, do you know?
Yeah.
Really, we've talked before, it's only the stuff that's too real that I don't like, do you know? Hostel is
Oh, well, yeah, no, I can't. No.
But outside of that.
A bit much.
So yeah,
I always wondering, did you count, you know, like certain movies like, what's the name of the Anna Kendrick, the one that she directed?
I would count that as a horror.
Would you count that as a horror? Or would you count that as true crime? Just curious.
Well, I suppose it was kind of more biopic, but I think anything with a serial killer has a horror tone to it. It counts. I mean, thrillers kind of get to go in there as well.
Oh, well, they do, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, really, like what's that? Fucking hell! Straight away off the bat, my memory is gone. Not Stranger Things, not Strange Darling. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The one with Nicolas Cage. Jesus Christ, Longlegs.
Longlegs.
My God! And that actually came before our Halloween list, so we did watch that. But that's counted as a thriller.
It would be, yeah.
Not a horror, which is strange because it's paranormal all over the place, which kind of took me out of it a little bit. All right, if I'm going to talk negatively about a movie, for a movie that got kind of put in the category of the new Silence of the Lambs,
I thought it was going to be absolutely terrifying.
Potential. I expected more. Mm-hmm. The ending was a bit flat for me. Him not doing anything was a bit flat for me. It was still a good movie, though. I still enjoyed the movie. It was fine. It just wasn't. Maybe it is the problem I have of people talking things up too much, because we talked about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and people shit all over that, and then I sat there watching it going, "This is brilliant, this is awesome," and the same with another few movies. Maybe that's just the problem, that maybe when it's built up for me and I go in thinking it's going to be good, I'm like, oh, I was expecting more. Maybe we're just one of these people that needs to go to the premieres of every movie to actually get like a proper untainted. But you have reviews beforehand. People are shitting on things before you have a tiny bit of a chance to look at it, which is fine, because that's what I need. Shit in the movies so they're better for me. That's what we're going to do from now on. I'm going to listen to nothing but bad reviews, then sit down, watch the movie and be happy. Okay. Cool. I think the easiest way to do this is I'm going to go from start to finish. Now, there's a few franchises in there, so when I get to the start of one of them, I'll probably just cover all of them and skip them as we go along the line then. Because I watched all the Frankensteins, both Hammer and Universal. I watched all the Leprechauns, all the Terrifiers, obviously. A few other... Was there more? All Hallows Eve. Yeah, we really went to school with the Terrifier stuff. And directors, two particular directors that stood out to me, obviously Damien Leone, so I went looking for more of his stuff. There is only one other movie, and that is Frankenstein versus the Mummy, and I was like, fuck it, I'm on a Frankenstein binge anyway, throw that one on. And Steve Kostansky is another guy that I have just fallen in love with, and that's the director for Psycho Gorman. I would also say Damien McCarthy. Oh yeah, I'm keeping an eye on him now as well. He's not on my 31 for 31. We watched that ages ago, but he's definitely up there. But we started off our list, because anything that's on my list is on Amy's list. Amy's just missing some of the stuff that's on my list because I was binging. Yeah, we watched different movies at different times, upstairs and downstairs, when I was 6. So there was 28 days and 28 weeks later were our first two. Yeah. And that's exciting because we got 28 years later coming now. And I've been looking that up, and there's no whole lot, they're not giving anything away. Anything at all, like in terms of plot. all you know, I suppose, is that it's 28 years after 2007, so this is a futuristic movie, isn't it?
It would be.
And that they've got a pretty hot cast. I mean, that is in a good cast, not hot cast. They're good looking people.
Oh yeah, Jodie Comer's in it, Ralph Fiennes
Aaron
is in
Taylor
it.
Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, Cillian Murphy, Erin Kellyman. She is the girl from Marvel, yeah?
That's her, with the serum.
They're all the people I recognise. But I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes with it, because, you know, I hadn't seen the 28 weeks, days, whatever, movies in ages. Ages and ages. Like, I haven't seen them in, Jesus, at least
They
15,
were new
20.
enough for me to get a good fright out of them.
Yeah, it was all kind of new to me again.
Yeah.
And what really came true to me this time was the Romero effect of it. It really felt like a Living Dead movie.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think it is because they focus so much in, and that's a big zombie movie trope these days, is to just focus in on how people react in these situations, not so much how the zombies came to be or what they're doing. And even though I think they explain it in that, isn't it? It is from a space, something falling out of space or something like that?
Is it?
I think so. See, I get confused because I know that was what The Walking Dead was supposed to be.
And just never was it.
No, he lied to them. Robert Kirkman wanted to get the comic made, so he bought them The Walking Dead story, but they were kind of a bit so he started to change it up in the pitch and tell them that the zombie apocalypse was actually caused by aliens who would eventually come down, and there would be an alien conflict in between the humans and the aliens, and that the zombies would go to the side, and that's what it would be. And that they were about maybe 30 or 40 issues in, and some guy came up and goes, "You're doing a really good job. When are the aliens coming in?" They're not.
Oh, man. See, I don't think that. I think it would have worked from the point of view as aliens, as in bacterial life form that might have come down in a comet.
That's the idea. I might be way off.
I couldn't see it working with actual
Again, I think
aliens.
it's gotten to a point though with these movies that with zombie movies, I don't look for the reason myself, because I've been conditioned not to look for the reason.
See, that makes me want to know the reason more. I prefer when there's like that always kind of pissed me off with The Walking Dead. I wanted
really.
To know
I just put it to the back of my mind.
I was excited with Eugene and going off.
See, Romero started this. Like, it's not so much what causes it; it's how we react to it and how we progress afterwards.
With it.
Yeah. And I suppose which is more horrific. In all fairness, it's more horrific to not know what caused it and to see how we'd react, because it is genuinely most likely how we would react.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, we saw when people started to get a bit of a cold around the place, and suddenly nobody had any toilet paper to wipe their arse with.
That was our main reaction.
Panic. We freaked the fuck out really, really quick.
We all think we'd be shitting.
But that was it. All there was
sneezing.
You will not get diarrhea with COVID. And everyone was out there picking. I don't know if you don't or whatever, because I didn't get it.
Was it just a shock that everybody was overbuying toilet paper, so that's what was reported, or was there other stuff just as overbought, like logical stuff? So everybody was like, all right, well that's fair enough. But toilet paper.
It was toilet paper and bread. I'll tell you, because I was really pissed off with myself.
That happens here with bad snow. The bread goes.
Yeah, I was being real smug about it, and I was like, what are all these people rushing off to the shop for? I remember I was working that day. I was doing work experience that day in a school for special needs assisting, and they were like, okay, we're going to be leaving, and this is it, we're closing down. I was like, no way. I hadn't even heard of this thing until that morning. So I walk in and this is kind of trust. I'd heard people were getting sick, and but you'd heard that all your life with little bits of these, foot and mouth, SARS, all this kind of stuff. I just thought it was this again, and I walk in and the teacher's there, and she's like washing down all the tables. She's telling me to make sure I keep the tables clean, wash the kids' hands constantly. I'm like, what's going on here? And she explains what's going on. I'm like, and you think they'll genuinely shut down the schools?
Oh, it was coming. We all knew. Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, Aldi and all the shops are supposed to be chock block. I was like, I'm supposed to be doing my shopping after work. Fuck.
Did you do the shopping that day?
I did, yeah. But it was like, oh, this is gonna suck. But when I got there, it was empty along with all the aisles. And all in my head, it was like, but they were telling me, do you want to go now? And I was like, I'm not going down there fighting through all that.
No.
There'll be plenty of food. Well, where do you think it's gonna go? And I went down there and suddenly realised I'd fucked up.
There was nothing there. Nothing.
A mistake I've made on Easter many a times, where I think we have plenty of time to buy Easter eggs, and then we get there and I'm scrambling from shop to shop picking up every egg.
Remember the day you tried to save it with the home delivery, and Tesco brought you hundreds of mini eggs in tiny bags?
It wasn't hundreds.
No.
This is what's fucked up, right? I ordered about 20 fucking Easter eggs off Tesco. They all went through the checkout and all that stuff, and they were supposed to arrive Easter Saturday. I was at home with my brother here watching a soccer match. You were in Thurles with the kids.
Yeah.
Next thing the door door goes, I'm like, yes, here they are. I open the door, my man's there with a big, huge tray. Do you know the trays that they come in? And all it's in there is like 2 bags of mini eggs.
Two bags?
I looked at him and was like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, substitution. I was like, substitution? Man, this isn't a substitution. You can send it back if you want.
Price.
Send it back. He was like, you get refund in a couple of days. I was like, fuck. So I just grabbed my wallet, ran down, and we have 3 shops in the village, and between the 3 of them, I was able to gather up enough eggs to cover everything. You got decent
eggs. I got a lovely Easter egg that
I mean, I got enough of everything.
Yummy.
But it was just luck that the village wouldn't sell out of them as opposed to the shops. Because Tesco was sold out, but I was able to collect enough.
I genuinely thought you got a few bags and that there'd be hundreds of them in between them, like, and that's their line of thinking. Like, no, you got 2 small bags. That's crazy.
Well, no, share bags. You know, but
still not enough for Easter, John.
No.
Imagine trying to hype them for the Easter bunny.
I don't know how we got there from. Me not planning well for. So I want to be on the ball for the apocalypse. I need to realise, not be smug about it, and learn from my COVID experience. I'm looking forward to 28 years later. I'm looking forward to seeing where we go with it. I mean, obviously, it'll be the evolution of man. Maybe they'll get a bit deeper into why the zombie apocalypse did happen. I don't know. I know it's a 2-parter.
Okay.
So it's coming out, but it's going to be volume 1, volume 2.
Cool.
Which they're planning to do with possibly Terrifier 4 too, but we'll get on to that in a minute, because the next one we watched was Strange Darling. And you loved that.
I loved it. I liked it.
Most reviews are really good for it. Did
you read bad reviews?
No.
Okay.
Not really. I heard 1 or 2 people talking shit about it online, but other shows and stuff. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was a fun. We guessed
different. Pretty quick.
Kind of quick. You clicked before I clicked fully on what was going on. I kind of had a fair idea what was going on.
Something she said at the start. I don't know what it was, and I was like,
I liked the 2 of them, to be honest with you.
Oh, I loved the 2 of them as actors.
I've liked him saying, what's his name again? Kyle something or other.
Jennifer's Body was the first chronological thing he would have been.
Do you know what? But I wouldn't have recognised him then. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have recognised him in Jennifer's Body. As soon as we saw Jennifer's Body, I was like, it's the dude from Outlander. And not Outsiders, which that was a great show.
Oh, I liked that.
It got fucking cancelled because the TV station that owned them,
Kyle Gallner,
they were selling their, I don't know, they decided they weren't going making original series anymore, or they were going to focus more on documentary or something like that.
It wasn't Stars.
No, it was some other one, and that was it, because they had the contract. That was it. It was done, finished.
That was a pity.
Apparently, in the TV world, once the actors get released from their contract, that's it. It's not coming back.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, that was the main part. That's their main problem with Hannibal as well. With trying to bring Hannibal back, was that once it was cancelled, all those guys got the contracts released, which is I think is more of a scheduling nightmare than anything. Which you got to try and get them all back under contract. And I would assume if you're an actor who knows a show is being revived, you're probably going to negotiate it for a little bit more money too. So as soon as they're out of contract, you got to negotiate all new contracts. So I would assume that's a financial burden.
Well, that's what your agent's for, isn't it?
Huh?
That's what your agent's for.
Yeah. But he was, I really enjoyed him in this. I really, really enjoyed him in this. I mean, we saw him in another movie. He was in Smile as well.
He was. Great.
Yeah. He just seems to be.
He was in Smile too as well.
There is a pile of horror movies that guy's in. There's another one. I haven't watched it. I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically he's, I don't know, is he or the other guy in it, but it's about a workplace shooter. But he's friends with the main character. So the main character goes in and finds out his friend's about to shoot the place up, and they got to deal with it.
Dinner in America. He's in a load actually here.
But I liked him, and I liked him all the way back to when he was Hassel in Outsiders, and that was because he had that MMA angle and everything.
Oh,
that was a really good show.
He was going down into town. Yeah.
Anyone that hasn't seen it, it's about like these mountain people who live in the Appalachian. I can never been able to say that. Anyway, yeah, go check out Strange Darling. I keep going to say Stranger Things. I have no idea. That's why I said I can't say that word. But Strange Darling, well worth the watch.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It is fun.
Yeah.
Then we decided to crack right into Terrifier 1 and 2 because we were running up to Terrifier 3. What a fucking roller coaster ride that was for us. Because it was like, is it going to come to Tralee? Are we going to get to see it in the cinema here? And then it's like, no, but it's in the next town over. And then you get super sick and it's like, we can't go to that one.
I was like, you can go to that one.
I knew in my heart at that stage it was like this kind of movie. They'll only have it scheduled there for a week, definitely. And I was right. And it was really successful. And then our fucking town got it the week after because it was successful and had only been booked in the other place for a week. But,
how long did it get in our town?
I suppose we'll do all three of them now.
How long did it get here?
It was there for a few weeks. So obviously we watched Terrifier 1 and 2 again just to spoil, because we'd only seen them once.
Yeah.
And I will tell you now, that whole trilogy are my favourite movies. I love them. I mean, they're them and Chucky. They're my top ones. And it shows you that I have a type.
Oh, you definitely have a type.
I love that extreme gore with a bit of comedy. Do you know? Because that's what it is. He's funny. That's what makes it Terrifier manageable.
The dark comedy in it,
And I was talking to you only yesterday. I was like, realistic. I know he won't, and I know it's a pipe dream, but I feel like his performance is Oscar worthy. That man can portray everything to you without uttering in 3 movies over, we'll say an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, and another 2 hours. So that's what, 7 hours?
7 hours.
He has never uttered a word, but you always understood what was the objective, what he was thinking, what he was doing. No, I know it's easy because 90% of what he's thinking is murder, 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 kill, kill, kill.
Sometimes fun, sometimes sick of your shit.
Well, yeah, but it's just his facial expressions, his movements, everything about it. And then there's the special effects side. Maybe that could get nominated for an Oscar.
Exactly.
How awesome would that be? Oscar award-winning Terrifier 3.
Stranger things have happened.
But
not that it would be a strange thing, but I mean, like, stranger things have happened than a horror movie winning. Do you know?
Who votes on that?
Isn't it the Academy? Like you have like all these different actors and people like on the Academy, isn't it?
And would its popularity not hold any relevance here?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I mean, Barbie was super, super, super popular. Was it more popular than Oppenheimer?
To get a nomination, I mean.
Oh, to get a nomination?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you have your ones that are submitted for nomination. You submit the movie for a nomination, and then they're whittled down. Then like they're shortlisted. So Jessie Buckley one year was shortlisted for the Academy, but for the Oscar, but she was never actually nominated for the Oscar. So you have your submissions, then you have your shortlists, and then you have your nominees.
So what sense does that make? I mean, surely, like, I always thought the Oscars was based on merit.
It is based on merit. You have seasoned like actors and directors and writers all sitting on this board, and then they vote. Like, that's what the screeners are for. They watch these movies.
Okay, I to a certain extent would say fair enough. Their experience, that's like, that's their job, that's their career. They know what they're talking about. But surely the point of a movie is to attract people to the cinema to watch that movie and to talk about that movie and to spend money on that movie. And we're talking about a movie that was made with a $2 million budget that last time I checked had cleared about 80 million.
Yeah, but to qualify to be nominated for an Oscar, you have to be shown for so long in a certain amount of cinemas.
Oh God, it won't. Will they take an unrated movie?
I don't know. I don't know if anything about it unrated, but I know that because it got a release, theoretically it could. But it has to be. I know, but what I mean is, it has to be shown in a certain cinemas in America. It has to be shown for so long. Like, there's all these qualifying criteria before it be even accepted. Like, do you know what I mean? So even though it did get like a release, if it wasn't shown in those cinemas, and even if it only got like one night of a release, I don't think it could be nominated for an Oscar.
Straight away, that's so political. That's not best movie. That's who has the best contact, who plays the best game.
I think it's to stop movies that are only being released on streaming from being nominated.
I don't mind that, right? I fine, I get that, even though I think that's a bit silly too. I mean, if you're going to be that picky about it, throw a new category in there: best streaming film, do you know?
Yeah.
Best on-demand movie, whatever. But you can't discount great movies just because they got released. Like, did Scorsese's Irishman get an Oscar nomination, didn't it?
Yeah.
But he released that in a couple of cinemas to make sure it got that Oscar.
Because Scorsese was actually the first one to give out about that, I think, and then they were like,
"Oh yeah,
better give out about it." I know, yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see it. I mean, Terrifier is awesome, and do you know what the only thing is though? I'm afraid to tell people about how awesome it. Not tell people, recommend it to people. Like I was talking to a friend of mine last week, and he was like, "Oh, what's good?" And I was like, Terrifier is really good. And he was like, so do I have to watch all three? Or can I kick? Because I was saying, like, 1 is very dark. I said, it's a bit darker. And I said 2 and 3 is really where it kicks off and it gets really fun and it's really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
And he was like, so do I need to watch 1? I was like, you kind of do. And I was like, but I'm always afraid to tell people because I understand that it is a very dark movie and it's a low budget movie. So it could turn you off, like, instantly if you're not into that. Because it's not as... There's no hope in Terrifier 1. All hope is gone. Dead. It's still a bit of fun watching him miming and doing his thing, but there is absolutely no redemption at the end. Everybody comes out shitty.
Yeah.
And that's a cool impact. But at the time, I suppose the movie, I don't know how much he had planned going forward. He must have had something planned.
Oh,
They had that end scene ready with him being brought into the doctor's office.
Yeah.
But that's a cool final scare too. So, you know, if it didn't get over, they could have just cut it off there and finished it.
Yeah.
Because I always say at the end of Terrifier 1, I loved it. I thought that was a cool twist. I was not expecting him to shoot himself in the head. You know, it was just, whoa, what the fuck? There's another one of these, isn't there?
Maybe that's the paranormal side. Maybe there had to be like a willing sacrifice.
But this is the cool thing about it. I've actually heard, I don't know if this is canon fact, whatever. I just saw it in an article somewhere. That no, it was one of the actors said it, or one of the people in the working on the film said it. Apparently, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. I think it was Art himself that said it. David Howard Thornton.
Okay.
Art the clown is a human being in the first movie.
Yes.
He's just a psycho serial killer in the first movie, and then as the story progresses, it's because he's so evil. This thing attaches it to self. It's like the perfect host for this thing to come to the main world to cause havoc.
Okay.
So the little pale girl.
That's why then Victoria, the other one is the perfect host for the little pale girl. I think. Okay, I get you.
They're hanging with him because he is the perfect host to bring them forward and to bring them out of whatever we're about to go into in the fourth one. That was I thought that was a cool twist at the end of the third one. I mean, we can talk about the second one, but the second one's great world building, bringing it all, bringing it together, like really sucks you into the story. And I think does a really good job at bringing in the final girl and the family and all that stuff, because they're coming in the second movie. You don't know them in the first movie, so Sienna and Jonathan and all that, you're getting used to them in the second one, but obviously clearly they're the stars going forward. This is the Sidney Prescott, this is the Jamie Lee Curtis, this is, you know, she is the one that will be riding this into her 50s. Coming back one more time for a battle with Art the Clown in 2040 something. No, they're saying that the fourth one is going to be the last one, whether they split it in 2 or not.
They probably should split it into 2.
He's saying that he's writing the script right now and he's 300 pages in and thinking...
But that was some of the complaints with the third one was that second one, sorry, that it could be split into 2. Like there was a lot. Long. Yeah.
I felt it was a bit like, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But there was, both times I watched it, there was kind of that part near the end when they were in the Terrifier, where I was kind of looking at my watch going, how much more could they do? We'd seen a lot at that point.
We had.
Penises had been bitten off. Whew. Cut off. Bitten off? I can't remember. Did he bite it off or did he just cut it on?
I think he just cut it off.
I mean, people go on about the bedroom scene. I've
seen a few of those scenes this year, so I'm getting confused. There's been a few penis gone off scenes.
Maybe I'm just blacking them right out. I can't remember from anything else.
There was definitely one behind a car.
Was that in one of the Winnie the Poohs?
Think so. That sounds familiar.
Does sound familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where was I? I'm distracted. Oh yeah, but like they go on about the bedroom scene and that movie being the scene, like, you know?
Yeah.
The bathroom scene, not the bathroom scene. We're talking the shower scene. The bathroom scene in 2, with the girl whose boyfriend's penis gets cut off, where she's in there and she's begging him, and he's got that big ass baseball bat with all the things sticking out of it, and he just starts bashing her head in, and it's
can't.
And they show everything. Everything. How can they do it so well for so little money? Because that one was only like $250,000. tops they had to make that one. I think it was 200 grand, 250. Maybe.
That's not that much at all.
And that's a very high quality movie, I would say. I mean, there is a huge jump up between Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2. Do you know? Terrifier 1, it doesn't feel as low budget. It's not like a trauma movie or anything like that. Do you know, it's clearly money has been spent on it and they do well with what they have.
But it probably helps that people putting in the main person putting in the money. Well, maybe it was the first one. Wasn't
the
he
producer?
There? Yeah. He was learning the special effects. That probably helps a lot. Like
in place of basically Damien Leone was going to teach him how to do special effects makeups for the money that he was putting into it, and Damien Leone does most of the special effects on 1 and 2.
Oh, class. Okay.
So that's fucking a lot of work to do on those movies.
Is.
But apparently that's why there's such a gap between 1 and 2.
Because of the work required.
Yeah, it was too much from. And then obviously with the new one they had a team, which made things a lot easier.
Yeah.
We get into the new one because I love that. He looks sharper in the face. They obviously spent money on the mask this time.
Oh, yeah.
It's very defined, isn't it?
I think maybe I just thought I was watching it in like a HDR version.
It's crazy, like more.
But now you say it is. It is
a new mask mold for
that's what
to fit his face. Apparently, they've been using the old one since the time of Matt Balotelli, I think was the guy's name. Was the first one.
Guy.
And he was. Oh, what did you think of it? Actually, before we get into 3, we'll talk about All Hallows Eve.
Okay.
I'm not going to bother talking about All Hallows Eve 2. It has nothing to do with Terrifier. It's good. It's a fun movie. It's a fun anthology movie, but it's not related to Terrifier the way All Hallows Eve 1 is.
Yeah.
And that is essentially Terrifier 1, really.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get a sense of who Art is, even though he's not in as much as you think of it. The third part of it is his big kill scene. But the first part, he only traps the girl and then he's gone. He has nothing more to do with it. It's all kind of Rosemary's Baby after that.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. But obviously he doesn't look as scary.
In the first one. In the train station.
Circle, he doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't look all that scary.
He doesn't, but I find him.
It's like they just painted his face. There's no prosthetics.
You can see like the line between,
costume,
you can see his skin color underneath, like at times, like. But I think that's actually quite unsettling. That's it. That whole scene with him in the train station.
Did you like the little throwback to it at the end of Terrifier 3?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh god. I was only thinking to myself afterwards, would it be worth their while just to milk this shit to try and do a feature length remake of the Ninth Circle as a kind of, do you know the way The Conjuring have their little Annabelle thing in between, these little side kind of things where you could kind of show a little more of what's driving Art the Clown to do what he's doing as a little kind of maybe gateway between 3 and 4. I don't know.
I don't know. I'd hate for it to flop though.
I would assume there's going to be a lot of storytelling in the next one.
Oh yeah.
They're saying that there's a possibility of them looking more at who Art was before he was possessed, what he had done as a serial killer beforehand, like flashbacks.
Like what made him a bad person.
Yeah. But they said the main thing they want to do is to make sure they do not humanize him in any way. They don't want you to sympathize with this man in any way. He is going to be a scumbag through and through, even before possession, which we know from
paranormal elements going back further than that, though. There has to be, because when the father gets introduced, it feels.
Well, we're obviously going to have to learn a lot more about that.
Yeah. I think we've seen him in the second movie. I think we've seen him in 2. I genuinely think he's the man beating the armor down. I genuinely 100%. And then we see him in 3 as well, but it's a more kind of like focused in thing. Do you remember when the Virgin Mary moves? We're all like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, that was unsettling.
I genuinely think I think in my head it just makes sense that's her father. Like there's some deal done there, and then now that's what's going on in my head.
He was obviously preparing her for her future. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't know how you fit all this into a 4th movie.
Sorry, because I'm so convinced of it. The fact that he's beaten the armor, but he designed her. He designed her whole get up in the first, but he's showing down there beating the armor. Like.
And he bought her the sword. So, I mean, look, Terrifier 3 is more the same, isn't it? It's more the same of 2, in the same vein and the same fun. It's intense. There's a lot of crazy ass scenes in it.
Oh yeah.
It's cleaner looking. The only complaint I would have, I loved all of Art's scenes.
Yeah.
All of it. I found Sienna and Jonathan's relationship in the movie to be a bit disjointed. Do you know, it was kind of strange. It felt weird. It was the kind of jumping between him in college and her saying she's going back to the Terrifier, and then them not showing her going back to the Terrifier.
Yeah, and then him being on the phone to her. Yeah, and then...
I mean, obviously spoilers. You know that from the start. Anything we do is spoilers, but obviously Jonathan's not dead.
I don't think he is, no.
I mean, just before she said, "Oh, it's actually Jonathan's skull," she was claiming it was someone else's skull.
Exactly.
So it's
and we only see him lying on a bed, and then
you and me always said that. There's always a rule in the horror game. That's it. If you don't see him die, they ain't dead.
No. No matter, even if they've been like stabbed or something like that, if you don't see them physically, kind of go.
Yeah. And if they're not gutted on the floor, they are not. There's a possibility they're coming back, you know.
If you don't see the blood coming from the mouth, I think is kind of the rule of thumb. I think once you see blood coming from mouth in the movies, they're fucked.
If they're still stumbling around, if they've been stabbed and they're stumbling around, you leave the room and you come back and like they're not there, they're definitely there. I mean, like you see that Scream really fucking show that. Like Billy Loomis gets stabbed and you're like, oh, I always thought it was Billy. Oh no, and it is Billy. You know, I mean, the worst case attempt at that was in Scream 3. I've just, over the years when we started, especially last year when we were doing Scream to open up, and I wanted to view Scream 3 the same way I viewed Star Wars. I get it. When we saw the prequels, we were all a bit disappointed, but over time they've aged well. We've grown to love them, and I thought that might happen with 3. Because you kind of like Scream 3, and other people talk to me like they like Scream 3. I fucking hate it. Hate it.
Can't you just accept it for what it is?
And I am so worried. So worried about this next movie.
Why?
Because Scream 1 came out in 96, the next one came out in 97, then there was a 3-year break before the third one came out. In that 3 years, there was a big shift in what was going to happen in the script because of what happened in Columbine. Now, we had Scream 2022, Scream 7 comes out in 2023, and now we're being told there's going to be a 3-year wait till the next one, and we've had to change everything about what we were going to do because of what's happened in the real world. So it was like, holy fuck, we're repeating ourselves again. Please do not do the same thing again. I'm terrified like Ghostface is going to be one of Sydney's kids or something. As soon as I saw that girl that was cast as the daughter this week, I was like, please, no, that's awful. You can't do that to her.
What?
You know, like when you start seeing people get cast for a movie, you're like, oh, especially Scream, it's like, well, is that the killer? Is that the killer? And like as soon as Scream 2022 was cast, I looked at you and I was like, well, it's fucking Huey. It's definitely Huey.
I think you kind of alluded to the same in Patrick Mulrooney.
I found that a little harder to call because again they did the same thing. They all switch Rooney of you think someone's dead and they're not. Yeah, and it annoys me a little bit.
Also, they were really, really trying their best to get you to think that it was what's her name?
Kirby.
What's her name? Kirby.
But the thing about it is, Scream 6, if you read too much into that backstory line of the killers, it becomes really, really, obvious. really unrealistic. No. Like him having kids, name change, like his daughter being murdered and not knowing that he has a son that's going to the college in the area and him getting all the evidence. Like, I mean, like they're obviously in their universe, they will be huge cases. There's movies about him, there's books about him. How is this man stealing all the evidence and planning and putting it in this little museum without anybody figuring it out? Especially when these cases are continuing. So they will constantly be going back to that evidence to review because of the copycat killers always playing off of what happened in the past. That evidence will constantly be watched because you'd have to go back and re-examine it to try and figure out the pattern of the new fucking copycat. So I mean, love it, love the movie, enjoyed every second of it, but the storyline, if you start digging too deep into how that all came about, you can't justify. You can justify some of the other ones, but you can't really
justify that one. Again, that one you just have to accept it for what it is.
But that's it. Turning off your brain and just realizing that the policing isn't that great in Woodsboro.
Yeah, it's a movie.
I don't know how we got into Scream or not. We didn't even watch Scream this year. We didn't watch Scream this year. That was a big one for me.
We watched it enough last year.
But I think Terrifier was dominating everything for me.
Oh, absolutely.
I was just obsessed. I was like a man fucking possessed waiting for that movie.
Every few hours you were checking the cinema listings.
And it was so much fun.
I mean, in the movie, not checking the cinema.
What was the worst in your? Because I don't want to get too far into it. Let people watch this movie and enjoy it, just in case. I know we keep saying spoilers, but some people might listen and keep listening, and then they mightn't even know they want to see this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin this one, but I will say we'll go away. They obviously say the shower scene was pretty rough, but I think if you're a Terrifier fan, you're kind of ready for that shower scene. It's not.
Nothing shocked me as much as the first shocking one that I ever saw. Do you know, as in the upside down. Nothing shocked me as much as that because you're kind of accustomed to Terrifier and what it's about and what's coming. Like,
truthfully,
but
the Gloucester baiting caught me a little bit. I felt that more than anything else in the movie.
It didn't shock me.
It kind of shocked me a little bit, in the sense that I just thought. I know you try and go there, but it's going to make this very hard to get this further in the cinemas or in Oscars and stuff like that, to get that recognition with something like that. But I didn't think it was out of place. I didn't think it was fucked up. My main thought was, as she was doing it, was like, you might be having fun now, but that's going to hurt
in the morning. I think if you want to, like the kind of verging on shocking thing for me, because they were able to slip it in there. Maybe it's is the face and the intestines part, and then she turns around and she like drops that fucking thing out of her mouth. Like that's crazy. I didn't think I'd see that in a movie.
Highlights in a movie, probably Art the Clown being a dickhead brother.
Slapping her across the head the whole time. That was funny. No, there's a few faces he makes in that Santa costume that are absolutely hilarious.
Him with Santa Claus. I bust my ass laughing when he was walking past the bar, saw Santa Claus in the window and shit himself and ran into the place and just freaking out.
Mm-hmm. You can feel the excitement off him. It's like
like a child. Childlike excitement.
For him nearly,
and he was into it until they started acting like a dick to him. But he was always going to kill him.
Oh, he was. There was no getting out of that.
He was always going to kill him. But it was just fun. It was fun to watch the whole thing. It was fun to watch. I was listening to talk about that as well, and he said they were literally just put in a room for like 2 days and told, do what you want and we'll record you. So that they'd splice it all together then later, like,
Oh, cool.
I love art with a gun. I love it. It shocked me in the first one because I wasn't expecting it. You're not really expecting it. When you're watching a slasher movie, slasher guys generally don't use a gun because it's too quick.
Yeah.
But he does it in such a way that it's like almost like a fuck you, and it's you don't badass.
Deserve my attention, kind of thing. Like,
you're not worth my time.
Yeah.
And
bang.
Bang, bang, bang. I'm finished with you, and I'm moving on. And it's so quick and so badass. But I was saying to you afterwards, I was like, if I ever come in contact with him, I know how the quickest way out is to get that guy to fire the gun. And all you got to really do is insult him enough that he wants to take you out quick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I know the one last thing I want to talk about with it is, I know both of us were a slight bit worried with the teasing of child murder.
Yeah.
But we will both say, I think we both agreed that they tastefully killed all those children.
If you're going to do, you don't like to show, as in like they get across what's after happening, and they have actually shown that kind of murder in more graphic detail in previous movies. They've shown the bodies in pieces on the ground, like,
But yeah, I mean, like the worst, it's tastefully done child murder is what I said afterwards. But I mean, realistic, there's like a bunch of kids get killed in this movie, but you only really see the aftermath, and it's only really in the first scene. The quick Joe, when he's going around the house, he goes in and he hacks up the brother with the axe, and then they go in after it and you see the body hacked up with the axe. You don't see him doing it, you just hear him and all this kind of stuff.
But what I mean is, it's not a new thing for Terrifier showing them like that before? But he's killed 2 kids before.
Well, I know the little pale girl is supposed to be the body of a girl he killed.
The All Hallows Eve, not All Hallows Eve, there's the 2 kids in the house.
Oh yeah.
So when people were giving out about this, I was like, well, it is nothing new for Terrifier. It's not like.
I completely forgot about that. The end of All Hallows Eve, which I really liked.
Yeah.
I thought the end of All Hallows Eve was badass. Yeah. You know, her watching him come at her on the videotape, and every time she turns around she can't see him. I like that.
Yeah.
And he's upstairs and he's hacking the kids up. And, Terrifier, they do it right. Mm-hmm. Tasteful child murder. So can't complain about that one. But yeah, go check that one out because it's worth it. Like I was saying as well, I checked out his Frankenstein versus the Mummy. It's gore wise is pretty much the same. They're not the same. He'll lower budget, but he's still sticking in the gore all over the place. It is your basic kind of updated Frankenstein versus the Mummy, where Victor Frankenstein makes a monster and the Mummy manages to get loose at the same time, and he's got
damn mummy.
Yeah, and it's just a retelling of that, and it's interesting. It's fun. It's not as good as Terrifier. The acting is okay. You know? But it's worth the watch if you want to see where they're coming from.
Okay.
Which I started doing a lot more of. You know, where I kind of started getting interesting. If I like your movies, then what else have you made? And I started with that, because I think growing up, we were kind of, especially in the 90s, you were really kind of focused on what actors were in movies, weren't you? That's how it was directed towards you.
That's how Mel Gibson got Braveheart, because they were like, you're only doing this if Mel Gibson's in there.
And now I think, for me especially, I start looking at, well, if this director made this movie, then I like his style. And I think Tarantino opened me to that. You kind of like,
Scorsese.
Scorsese. If you follow a director, you're going to get some good movies.
Definitely.
And I really enjoyed his movies so far. I'm looking forward to 4. I can't wait that long. I think 2026 is what they're talking.
2025 will fly.
And we gotta wait for Scream for then as well. We got a lot of Frankensteins though this year.
We got 2 coming, and we've got Nosferatu in the next few weeks.
What do we 2? Is one of them The Bride though?
One of them is The Bride. The one with
I know Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, he's the one doing the regular Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And then
The Bride is the one with Jessie Buckley.
Oh, you have to put me off now. Gyllenhaal. She's doing The Bride.
Yeah.
And that is
Christian
with
Bale.
Christian Bale and Pearl, fucking Maxine.
Is it, or is it Jessie Buckley in that one, or is she in the
other one? You're right.
Jessie Buckley's The Bride, isn't it? Oh no, sorry. Jessie Buckley's in the one with Christian Bale. Mia Goth is in the other one, but the Christian Bale one is definitely with Jessie Buckley.
Okay, so then the Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, I'm trying to check it out here, and do you know what? I can't fucking type when I'm talking. I'm terrible at this. Frankenstein. 2025, Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, I had it back to front.
And that is Guillermo del Toro. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to both of them. That's the one with your man from...
The tall guy from Saltburn. What's his name? Don't tell me, Jacob Elordi. Yeah, there we go.
He's the monster in that one. So, I mean, look, we got a lot of Frankenstein.
I was proud of myself with that casting. He was on Saturday Night Live one night, and remember they were doing like the eligible bachelor thing, and I was like, oh my god, he wouldn't be a bad Frankenstein. And then like 2 weeks later he was announced as Frankenstein.
I can't see it still. I'm looking forward to seeing Christian Bale as Frankenstein. I think
I saw the photos. You see the photos?
I'm looking for a little bit, yeah. And I like the Bride story. I think I like the Bride story more than I like the main story, to be honest with you.
It's all as one in the Robert De Niro one, and I actually quite like that version as well.
I was disappointed. I was kind of my first no. Young Frankenstein was my first Frankenstein.
Oh, I like Young Frankenstein.
And I enjoyed that. But my first real experience with the Frankenstein story was, outside of kiddie stuff, was kind of... That was Robert De Niro's one. I was a little let down. It was a bit... as a kid who was looking for a horror, it was kind of very romantic and, gothic. Yeah. And I remember watching it one Halloween and just being like, ugh, shit. But I went Frankenstein crazy, like I said, this year, and I watched both Universal and Hammer. And I thought going into it that I'd be watching remakes back and forth, because they, especially before the age of the internet, there was this thing of, you had English versions of stuff and American versions of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we'd remake it which is stupid, because we're all speaking the same fucking language, and we watch American shows all the time anyway, and they watch a bunch of British shows, so I don't understand why we had to start remaking stuff. Like, when I heard they tried to remake Red Dwarf for America, and I'm like, 2 of the characters in the show are American and the other 2 are English. What the fuck were you doing when you brought it over there? It didn't work. Didn't get past the pilot anyway. But yeah, so they're really, really different movie series. Being that Universal really focuses in on the monster, and Hammer really focuses in on the doctor.
Okay.
And the creation of monsters the whole way through. But it's not the same monster in every movie in Hammer's movies. It's a different
Frankensteins,
he's just basically, you have like Dr. Frankenstein, who's Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
And he is Peter Cushing, sorry. Okay. And he is trying to create life, so he does it, and everybody gets angry, and they come with their fire and pitchforks and all that, and he's got a split. and they think he's dead, and he splits, and then he starts. I think he does make off with the monster that time.
Okay.
And then the second one, the monster dies out, I think. Oh, no, sorry. I'm wrong. The first one is Christopher Lee as the monster and Peter Cushing as the doctor. Cool. That was awesome.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think the second one was kind of a bit of a rebooty kind of thing where they did kind of, the monster was brought along for that one, and he dies out.
Yeah.
And he has to hide out then in another village, a few villages over, where he helps another guy who has a disability, and he puts him into a new body. And that just keeps cracking on like that for 5 or 6 movies. But they're good. They're entertaining because they do kind of take a different turn every one. Like, you know? And then with Universal, they kind of went more along the lines of the monster just kept surviving, mainly because Igor was a little shit and kept bringing him around the place and saving him for his own use. Yeah. Igor's an asshole. He's the bad guy by the end of all that. Well, throughout most of it, but he's the one egging on the monster because the monster doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. He's just following orders. And once the doctor is dead after the first one, he kind of starts following Igor because Igor takes care of him, keeps him fed, keeps him minded, and then one by one, there's 2 of them. Frankenstein's sons come, and the first one wants to take up where his dad left off and create life again.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go away from that a little bit and kind of more on Igor and Frankenstein's travels a little bit and stuff like that. And eventually there's the other son who wants nothing to do with Frankenstein's name. Okay. But the Wolfman has come to try and get cured, and Frankenstein's there. And they're fun. They're great little movies. They're the same kind of thing over and over again. You know, people get upset and start looking for the monsters. They got to run and all that stuff. The Wolfman is fun as well. I watched that while I was at it, since I'd watched that and I wanted to go back and see why the Wolfman was so upset, because the Wolfman is a different kind of monster in the sense of when he's not the Wolfman, Larry does not want to be, he wants to be dead. I mean, that's kind of the conclusion at the end of the House of Frankenstein, is like, I would rather be dead than be a monster. So if you can't cure me, fucking kill me. Do you know?
And do they kill him?
I can't remember. They were the ones. Do you know how I got through so many Frankensteins? They're all rated G and PG, and they were the only thing that I could really have on during the day with kids
the kids around.
So I threw them on while I was working on the laptop, and I'd just kind of look up and watch them and look down and work away. Yeah. I was able to follow them that way because they are easy to follow, and they're only about an hour each. Like, they're not particularly long, especially the Universal ones. They're very short, an hour each, you know. Yeah. But they were fun. Another one that was fun that I'd never seen, because that was another thing. I kind of went on a bit of a mission here as well to find old school classics that I'd heard of over the years, but I'd never gotten time to watch. And there's a few big name ones there you'd be like, you really haven't fucking watched that. But the first one I came across was Critters.
Okay, yeah.
And instantly Scott Grimes is in Critters, so I love it. Scott Grimes is a legend. Critters is fun. Critters is a laugh. Again, the first 2 are PG. You can throw them on with your kids when your kids are around, all that kind of stuff. Fionn walked in, saw it, thought it was hilarious. I think they were all eating up some shit in a restaurant and spinning around the place, and thought that was brilliant. And egged him on to actually watch a few movies himself this year. But we won't stay long on that. Critters is your usual creature feature kind of stuff, and we'll talk more about creature features later with a fun one by Mr. Kostansky, the new one. We'll get there. Don't worry. You look confused.
I do. I am.
You wanted to hear me talk shit about a movie? There is one movie on this list that I fucking hated.
Did I see it?
And it's strange because I like the director. Rob Zombie fucked up the Munsters, man.
Oh, Rob Zombie fucked up the Munsters.
The Munsters is terrible. Yeah. And I love the Munsters. I grew up on the Munsters. I was Munsters over Addams Family. I mean, they were my thing. Like,
too much. It was too much. It was
hard to follow. The story didn't connect with me. And like you said, the colours. You'd think those colours would be nice, but it's like it was shot too low budget for those colours to work. And apparently that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to give it the same low budget effect as the TV show, but it's just...
But there was
I couldn't connect with it.
I'm not saying that the characters should be reinvented at all, but there was no such thing, I felt, as in, and I like his wife in movies, but I felt that when she just really tried to take the mother in the series and just go, like, even with her tiny movements and gestures, she tried to mirror everything, but I don't think it translated well, because she could have done it, but not did it like to the T, like, because it didn't feel natural.
Do you think though that might have been done because of the complaint that she is very similar in all of her movie roles, and that and on top of that, she gets a lot of grief for most of her movie roles being Rob Zombie movies. But
again, she could have achieved that by making the character a wee bit different and not identical to the 50s.
Well, I did see that was a lot of people's complaints with the movies, that he was trying way too hard to make it the real monsters, and it just didn't work.
There was a few kind of a whimsical, kind of like the music for it. I found the music kind of too kind of whimsical, or trying to be whimsical, kind of like comedic kind of music, but kind of trying too hard that way as well. Like
you can't really kind of focus too hard in. No, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, there's a lot of old monster movies that I'd have to watch again to kind of say if he went overboard with it or not. But you're trying to make this movie off of a sitcom that's basically like any other sitcom, where it's mainly based in 2 rooms of a house. You know, 2 or 3 sets.
I would say Dark Shadows achieved it. So Dark Shadows were able to do it.
But that's what I'm saying. They took it in a different direction, I think, rather than...
I think that's what you kind of need to do,
the actual
though.
Soap opera.
I think I've only seen a few minutes of it, like clips of it, but I think that's what you need to do, especially if you're taking it from the 50s. Not take it in a different direction or reinvent it, but kind of make it more kind of like applicable nearly. I don't know. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And it just, in theory, it felt like something I would have lapped up.
You know what it was?
Yeah.
From what I saw of it now, because I will admit I zoned the fuck out and started going cooking dinner and stuff and then ignoring what was on. Yeah. It felt like it was spending too much time in their own little kind of monster world.
Establishing who they were.
That's not what the monsters are. The monsters are like the Addams Family. They're the oddball fucking family who think they're normal in amongst all the normal people thinking they're weird.
The monsters feel more accepted in their own society.
It should have been more like the Addams Family. It should have been the monsters turning up to their house, moving in, and all the people's reactions around them moving in. And that's what a monsters movie is, you know? Mm-hmm. Whereas this felt more like a prequel that we didn't need.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate, because I was looking forward
Mr. Zombie.
to it.
I feel really bad for saying that.
I love all the other movies.
All the other movies, yeah.
Down with Halloween 1 and 2, even when the people shit talk that one. I know you don't even like that one all that much, but I like it. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking about Mr. Zombie himself.
I'm like...
a lot of studio involvement, apparently, with the second one. We've watched a lot of these movies. I think the only one I haven't seen so far is 31.
No, I haven't seen it.
That's because I heard it was like... I just heard hyper gore with no real story, but I'll check it out. I liked all the other movies though. The next one, I needed a bit of a palate cleanser, so we went with comedy horror. And that's what I do love about horror. There's so many different genres within the genre. So you can enjoy, you can, like I said to you, we've stopped asking each other, no, do you want to watch comedy tonight or a drama? Or it's like, which version of horror are we watching? Yeah. And we went with Club Dread. And that is by what is it again? Fucking lizard. I can't find it. The Broken Lizard. The guys who make Super Troopers and Tacoma FD, and it was basically a spoof on slasher movies. Bill Paxton's in it, and he's really good. Yeah. And the music, Bill Paxton's like this kind of weird folk kind of singer. And his songs are on
Coconut
Spotify.
Pete.
Yeah, it's on Spotify. You can get all the songs.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Him singing all those songs are on Spotify for the soundtrack.
Wow.
It's a fun, silly kind of movie. It's not Broken Lizard's best.
It's a serial killer movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's just funny.
It's worth a watch.
It's brainless, kind of. There's no way you're going to predict who did anything in it. There's no real sense
rhyme or reason.
Yeah. And even when the killer does give his reasons at the end, it's silly. It's funny, it's just stupid. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a nice little palate cleanser. Because I went right back into Frankenstein after that. Eventually, I got to City of the Living Dead. This is another one of those Gaiello Italian ones. Am I saying that right? Gaiello? Because we were watching a lot. I'm pretty sure this is your man Lucio Fulci. I can't say his name ever.
Lucio Fulci.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was his movie, City of the Living Dead. I thought it'd be a lot more zombie-ish. Again, I was kind of in and out of this one. I didn't watch it properly. It was fun. There was zombie kind of stuff in it.
Oh, The Reporter.
Huh?
There's a reporter in it and a psychic. Is this the one that you were telling me about?
Yeah, where she's like, where they hear you want in the grave and all that stuff. It's a fine movie, but it wasn't as good as other ones we've seen, like New York Ripper and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. Again, there's a few more Frankensteins there. The Horror of Frankenstein, Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell. And then we have Joker, because we needed to watch Joker before we watched Folly Ado.
Yeah.
And again, I would say a thriller with a bit of horror kind of, because it's the mental instability in that movie is horrific. It terrifies me that you could go down that far and so many people around you could let it happen and not care. And then when you do something crazy, they'll be like, hey, what'd you do that for?
Yeah.
I've been warning you for a few years now. But look, I love that movie. I really do. I liked the second one. People hate the second one.
I like the second one.
Again, I think what were you expecting, what were you looking for? You just turn off your brain and enjoy it.
I don't see what people's problems was with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really don't. I loved it.
It's a grand movie.
Yeah.
I'd watch it again. Like if I was watching one, I'd watch both of them again. You know? No, I've only seen it once, so maybe my opinion of it will change on a second viewing. I don't know.
Maybe.
But at the time of watching, I thought it was a fine movie.
I think, but like you though, and hearing it, I was geared up for it to be a bad movie.
Yeah, see, that might be the thing as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, I know I was happy to see Terrifier 3 beat the Joker in the sense of in the Battle of the Clowns, this, underdog horror movie came out of nowhere to top the polls over this, what was supposed to be mega huge blockbuster movie. It's strange. I mean, I think as well, it takes away from it because I do think people will appreciate Joker 2 later down the line.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of what took away from it was all that drama going on behind the scenes, all this kind of finger pointing that went on almost immediately, and I think what would have affected the numbers almost instantly, not so much the first round of reviews, but would have been the fact that the actors and the film studios and the director and everything scrambled to find excuses before any of us went to see the fucking movie.
Yeah, so you're kind of like...
So instantly, and if you're on the fence already, which some people might be, because... not for everyone. Some people aren't as into. They will say the average film watcher, someone who might wouldn't be obsessive about it, but will watch the next big thing when it comes out and when they have a bit of time. Who might be busy at work, have kids and all that kind of shit. So they're not going to take a risk on a movie like that if they've heard a bad thing about it. So suddenly that's gone. Or someone who's, one fucking date night is this night and they're going to go to the cinema. They're not going to waste the money now on Joker 2 that they would have spent up until this point because they don't want to risk that one night out that they have this month,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a lot of that would have hurt it.
Oh, yeah.
But I think once all that dies down and dies away, people will look at this differently.
The only complaint that I would have between the two, and I understand that in the first in Joker, they're establishing just how bad his mental state is. So that's already established when you get into 2, but it didn't feel like there was like that kind of like holy shit fridge scene. Like that just felt that was the beautiful scene and the way it was shot and the way he like everything that he did in that scene, but it didn't feel like there was that kind of like blow away kind of scene.
I think the most blowaway scene for me in that movie, the most impactful scene in that movie, is the small guy from the first movie coming in to give testimony.
My heart broke for him.
I thought that was really intense. And I thought that's the point. And I think it was really cool as well that's the point that triggers Arthur to kind of turn around and say, fuck. What am I doing? And for it to start, the wheels start turning in his head to realise that even if he believes he's the Joker or not, he knows he's mentally ill and he needs help. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think it kind of pointed out as well how good a friend he would have had in him. Like, as in, like, obviously this is somebody he took on board what he said. Like, and it's kind of sad that he didn't realise. He had that kind of relationship.
Again, it's a mental illness kind of situation. It's an extreme situation. You got to look at everything that's going on in his life. There's a lot of pressures and
obviously his childhood was fucked up. So I mean,
I'm trying to get my parents to watch it because my dad came out of nowhere and said he absolutely loved The Penguin, and he watched all the Penguin.
Your dad like it,
and I keep trying to tell him, like, I promise you, this Joker movie isn't like fucking
it's not a
Jack
comic,
Nicholson or Cesar Romero or anything like that. This is like a Scorsese movie, you know, and you should check it out because you'd really enjoy it. I think I was getting it through to him, and then my mom kind of butted in and goes, "Oh, I don't know about that Joker. Whatever about the Penguin. I don't know if I can manage the Joker stuff." And I was like, "I promise you, it's not what you think. There is no Batman in this."
I would have thought they'd have watched the Joker before the Penguin. I was surprised when you said the Penguin.
It's odd because my first Batman movie was they rented out Batman with Jack Nicholson and then Tim Burton and left me watch it the next day before they bought it back. So I don't know. After I watched Joker, I watched The Ghost of Frankenstein, The House of Frankenstein, and then here's the one that I said probably shocked people that I had never seen before, and that's Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, I've never seen Rosemary's Baby.
Felt like I had seen it. I'd seen so many clips in every countdown ever made. I knew what was going on. I knew what was happening. I knew when all the big points were happening. Still enjoyed it.
Good.
Liked it. It's a good movie. Obviously, people know it's a good movie.
Right.
I'm still slow to watch the new one, though.
Is it that you feel like there doesn't need to be a new one?
I can't see how you're going to give me anything new from what I just saw. No, it's a prequel. So, like in Rosemary's Baby, the girl that she talks in the basement and she's found dead, that she jumped out of the window or whatever later on. It's based on her, basically.
She's a nanny, is she?
I can't remember. But it's going to be her story as far as I know.
No, that's the Omen I'm thinking of. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then you'll follow her story and then I suppose it'll link into Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
Do you know there's another sequel to Rosemary's Baby? I didn't know about this.
It's the apartment, is it?
No, that's the new one.
Oh,
this is Whatever Happened to Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, yeah, I heard of this. Whatever Happened to Rosemary's Baby. Yeah. It sounds light, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like a horror movie. It sounds like Whatever Happened, Baby. No, that's actually kind of scary as well.
What?
Whatever Happened, Baby Jane.
What's that?
That's Betty Davis and oh my God, this is going to crack me up because I can never remember her name and she's one of the legends. Hang on. Whatever Happened, Baby. In 1952, it is Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. Basically, one is a child actress and the other has been in her shadow, and then the child actress gets sick, and then the one that was in her shadow for all these years has to mind her, and it's very psychological. But then Meryl Streep and Susan Sarandon were in feud, and it's basically about the relationship that was...
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, so that's two that I'd like to watch. Whatever Happened, Baby Jane is actually, quite psychological.
Right, we better start moving because we're an hour in now, and I don't know if I'm even halfway through this list. So after that, I got watched Psycho Gorman again.
Oh,
Psycho Gorman is by Steven Kostanski.
Okay.
And he is a part of a Canadian kind of group that make these movies. And I watched a few of his movies. I watched one of his first ones, Manborg. Very low budget, not great, but you could tell it's their style.
Yeah.
He also directed Leprechaun Returns, which was in the Leprechaun group, was one of the better ones, I think. It was a funny one. It was kind of a reboot, kind of reimagined. It was supposed to be a sequel to the first one. A new sequel to the first one, with ignoring all the Leprechaun in space and Leprechaun in the hood and all that.
And what else did he do, Josh?
Huh?
What else did he do?
Psycho Gorman, which we talked about. Oh, I'm going to get into that in a minute. We were talking.
My favourite one that we've seen, I think.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but I just want to talk about Psycho Gorman first because it was a cool moment in that for me, because I had watched that. This was my third time watching Psycho Gorman. If you haven't seen Psycho Gorman, go find it. It's awesome. It's amazing. But it is also, if your kid's into horror, it's pretty child friendly. To the most part. I mean, there is a bit of gore and stuff in that. And that's why I loved about this, was I couldn't really remember all the pieces to it. I remembered most of it, but obviously seen it 2 times. It had been about a year since I've seen it last, and it was kind of in the back of my head, but I couldn't remember what the gore levels were like.
Okay.
And in my head it was like, it's not much. So myself and Riley decided I was going to watch it with Riley. Riley's 10 now. And he's sitting on the couch, we're watching it. And this is where I learned that my son and me have the exact same taste. Because there's the first bit of gore in it. Psycho Gorman walks into this warehouse. There's these 3 bad guys there, and the first 2 guys run at him. He basically grabs their heads and rips their heads out, and their spines start flying out and all this. And Riley jumps up in the chair. He's like, "Wow!" And I'm like, "Yeah." But I love that movie. It's a great movie, and they're just so much fun. And I mean, when I say like they're almost kid friendly,
there's no swearing.
There's no cursing. They make a big thing out of it as well, that everything is frick this and frick that and all. And it's funny, like, it's humorous. But
frick feels like a swear word.
But it is so over the top silly, and it's seriously Power Rangers kind of.
Oh yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Inspired with the bad guys and the costumes and all that. But you can see that going through most of these movies, that it kind of got that kind of thing about it. Except for the one that Amy's absolutely like on the edge of her seat, ready to talk about, and that's the new one that he just released, which I said again, a bit of a creature feature. You got these little guys running around, and that's Frankie Frico.
That's what you meant by creature feature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shabadoo.
Shabadont.
Shabadoo. But yeah, so what did you think of that?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I loved it, yeah. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely, yeah.
I thought it was
I knew what way it was going to go. I was going to say it to you, and I was like, nah,
I felt that
no
too.
sense.
I'd seen the trailer. I knew it was going to kick in eventually.
No, but I mean the very end, I had a feckin' feeling at the start that that's what was going on, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh no, I didn't click with that at all. But I mean, like I felt like it was just a slow start, and that they were really leaning heavily on their non-cursing thing at that point, and they were really playing up the child, and I was just kind of waiting for something to get going, like, you know.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of like, what is it? I knew where, I knew it was going to get good. I knew what he's about. I was just kind of...
They were trying to get you to know the new little furry guys in it, and to hate the new little furry guys in it.
It's essentially like Beetlejuice meets the Gremlins meets the what's the name of the band again? Or the Electric Mayhem, or Dr. T and the Electric Mayhem. That's essentially what it is. Mix it all together, you got Frankie Frico. So you're not having a good time, you want to have some fun, you call Frankie on the phone, him and his two friends, I can't remember their names. There was a cowgirl and a little dude that goes Shabadoo.
Probably Shabadoo.
No, he actually has a name as far as I know. You can look it up there. And you've followed them on their road through basically trying to save the Fricos from these Frico killing Nazi things, detective things. They're really cool. They look like little detectives too.
Oh, they're class.
The little robot guys. It's ridiculous. It's over the top ridiculous. It's really silly. If you're not into like slapstick, dumb, bad acting humor, you're really going to hate this movie. But thankfully, I love that stuff.
It was one of my favorite this year, I think.
Yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we enjoyed the Leprechaun so much as well. We watched all the Leprechauns, which include... Oh, did you watch all the Leprechauns, or did I watch all the Leprechauns?
I didn't watch all the Leprechauns. Dottie Dunco is one of them.
That's the girl. That's the
Street Frico. Ubermunch.
Well, Streets, they're the ones that were just around the other universe.
It doesn't say Freak Lord President.
It's the dude, do you know?
Crunch.
It was the guy, I think it's the guy that was playing the boss, did his voice, didn't he?
The
guy that was the dad in Psycho Gorman.
Oh, Mike Kostansky.
Yeah?
His Crunch. His brother, maybe?
I thought I was almost sure that he voiced somebody else in that.
He's here.
The dude from Psycho Gorman, the dad from Psycho Gorman, and the boss. He was the boss in. Do you know, with the little ponytail that gets glued to the floor?
Yeah.
In Frankie Frico.
Oh, the boss. No, the boss is. I'll get you his.
I'm pretty sure he voices someone else as well.
That's Adam Brooks as Mr. Buechler, Connor's boss. He doesn't voice anybody in this.
My mistake. Anyway, we get to the Leprechaun because he did do the Leprechaun Returns, and that was fun. It was a good laugh, to be honest with you. And all of them are a bit of fun. I mean, the Leprechaun, again, is one of those ones you need to just, not overthink
for what it is.
Yeah. They're mostly low budget. They get more low budget as they go along. Mm-hmm. I loved Leprechaun in the Hood. Leprechaun Back to the Hood wasn't as good. But Leprechaun in the Hood was good. Leprechaun in Space was good. And that was...
I didn't see that one.
You send him to space, it's not great. You did, didn't you? Do you remember the dude? You knew him. You said he was in that... was it LOLO? The guy, remember, he was the half robot guy in the chair, and he was half human.
Yeah. I saw it.
It's fun. It's just stupid. Oh, I missed one in there. House of 1,000 Corpses. See, we love your Rob Zombie.
Oh, I do enjoy House of 1,000 Corpses.
I meant to watch the other two afterwards. I just haven't had a chance yet, so they're still on the list to watch. Because
Tree from Hell, and what's the other one?
Devil's Rejects.
Couldn't think.
But House of 1,000 Corpses is it's like the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake that they made.
Exactly. If you enjoy Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're not going to not enjoy.
Which is, it's both. I'd love to see Rob Zombie do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but no, it's like he can't because you've done House 1000 Corpses, and how are you going to make it any different?
That was my exact thoughts when we were watching the movie, was that you'd love to see him do it, but like, what the fuck is he going to do?
Because it's paying homage to Texas Chainsaw. I mean, there isn't a whole pile of differences. It's more over the top. It goes a bit wilder. And then it's crazy because the first one is so paranormal and mental, and then you get to the second one, they're just serial killers racing through the place. You know? The third one, what did you think of the third one? We've only seen it once. I remember feeling it was a bit flat.
Devil's Rejects?
No, Devil's Rejects is the second one.
Oh, Three from Hell.
Yeah, but Sid Haig had died just beforehand, so he was only in the first few minutes of the movie.
It's extremely patchy to me. I don't know what it was. I do like Sid Haig.
Do you need Captain Spaulding to make this work? Do you know, was that the problem, not having him in it?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I just remember I really liked House 1000 Corpses. I know I like House 1000. I remember loving Devil's Rejects, but I haven't seen Tree from Hell since it came out. It's on the list anyway. We'll watch the two of them again soon.
Cool.
We're going to try and get through the rest of these pretty quick because we are going to run out of time here. And I don't have a whole pile more to say. I mean, we've talked about them. Oh no, hang on, I'm missing a few here. I do want to talk about Mr. Crockett. That was awesome. Mr. Crockett, if you haven't seen it, was a Hulu Halloween special. It was a little mini thing. It was like 2 minutes long. Yeah. And it was about this... basically, they ripped off Bray Wyatt's gimmick. 100%. Bray Wyatt had the family funhouse on the WB, and that guy would eventually come out as the Fiend and come and get you. And it was essentially the same kind of idea, but Mr. Crockett would come out and kill the bad parents and take the child away to live with him. And it's fun. It's a great movie. I imagine there will be many sequels, and we'll get to watch it over and over again. But it was a good, fun movie, and it was creative.
Did you call it a 2-minute feature?
I don't know what they were. There was a bunch of them. I haven't watched all of them yet, but...
Oh, so there's more other than the movie that we saw.
There's basically, this movie was based off of a 2-minute short that was made for Hulu. See, it's a series. There's about maybe 30 or 40 of these little episodes. Okay. They're only about 2-3 minutes long each, and this one caught fire and became a movie.
That's fine. I was just starting to panic how I felt like those 2 feature-length minutes.
The longest 2 minutes
of my life.
Behind the Mask was another one I'd never seen that I really enjoyed. That was from the documentary. Really silly, really funny.
I enjoyed it.
It was a good laugh. It's following a serial killer who is your typical kind of... Basically, from now on, whenever we try and explain what we're doing on It's Alive podcast, we're just going to say we're doing Behind the Mask, the podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially... That finally explains to everybody in the simplest form what we do on our main show.
But not everybody knows Behind the Mask.
Well, in that movie, you hear him, he's talking like he's this... film serial killer, basically, and all the rituals and steps that goes into building this kind of killer. And he talks about Michael Myers and he talks about Jason Voorhees like they're like, Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, and it's essentially what we do on the podcast. And I think that's why we enjoyed it so much as well, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I mean, look, there's a few more there. Again, I can't go through all of them, but so before we get to our main event, because I think there's one more movie that we could really spend a little 5 minutes talking about. A few more highlight ones that we watched. We watched Paranorman with the kids. That was fun. Cuckoo was good, except we had a bit of video problems with it, so it was hard to watch. We were in and out of it. Shaun of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead were some of my rewatches this year. Peeping Tom was another big one I had never seen.
Oh yeah,
which is often called one of the original slasher movies. Which it is. It's a good movie, good fun movie. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The Monster Squad was a great one to watch with the kids.
Yeah,
and we introduced our 10-year-old to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, probably the best in the series.
Oh, that's my favourite.
And he loved that one as well. The one I was talking about being our last one to talk about today is The Substance.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one that everyone was talking great stuff about, and I went in and I loved it as well. So maybe my theory is wrong.
Maybe.
But fucking great movie. Great performance by Demi Moore.
Oh, absolutely.
Really, really good movie. Yeah. Massive body horror in it. And then it reminded me at the end just how much I love an absolute blood fest, just gore and guts everywhere in the stupidest manner possible. You know? And that ending when the blood was just going everywhere, and I mean, like, I remember it was just kind of, it hadn't lost me, but I had kind of drifted to my phone for a second to like look up people on IMDb, and the next thing I see her coming out of the big blob, I'm like, what's going on now? and kind of watching it. Next thing the blood started, and it was the same reaction as Riley had when he saw Psycho Gorman pull those two guys' heads off. It was just, oh wow, it's just amazement.
Yeah.
Like, this is so fucking cool. But the story is fun. I mean, even down to the idea of, having to get the time exactly right, or you suffer somehow, or you lose something. And
it's not hard if you keep on. Now, you do start to, I understand it's not great because you'll obviously start to lose yourself. But if you just stick to the 7 days.
Well, it's the younger self's fault, isn't it?
Well, it is the younger self's fault.
See,
when I heard about the movie, I thought it was a thing of like there'd be two bodies and they'd both be awake, but they'd share consciousness. So I thought that's what it was. Like, you'd be using this body, but you'd also be enjoying the younger self at the same time. Like,
I wasn't expecting her to come splitting out of the backside, or that was a bit crazy.
No. I think that was the worst part for me, was watching the needle pop back through to stitch it.
Yeah, but you only have to do that once.
Yeah,
and then it's just back and forth after that, so that's not too bad.
But then if you decide that you're done, you can never do it again, can you?
I would assume that. Seems like a one and done kind of deal. All right.
Would you do it?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
No,
I don't know.
No. I would be very ashamed of myself if I got to that age and what
if you're thinking
my
about
lot in life didn't content me, that I was kind of I need to look younger. I was so obsessed with my looks. I think I'd be somewhere.
What if it's not a looks thing? Right, say it's my situation, right? And I'm getting into my late 30s now, and I still have that little itch in the back of my mind that says we can go wrestle again. And the older I get, that itch stays there, but my body ain't going to let me do it. What if I just want to go back and wrestle? Yeah. What if I want to go back to be that age, wrestle? To be fit, to train, to be the best, and to progress in that business?
This different entity that might be you when you were younger is going back to do it for you. When you come back for your week.
They never really specified on that, though, did they? They never really kind of got into the idea of, does Demi Moore have her? Is she sharing the memories?
I don't think she is, because she's getting shitty with her when she wakes up to the mess. No,
but I think she has to, doesn't she? Because I mean, if she's not feeling the pleasure of it, what will be the point? The idea is to experience youth again. So really it has to be a shared consciousness in that sense. And they even keep saying that's one of the things that's drilled home the entire movie. Every time she rings the guy to complain, it's, there is no we, there is only you. There's one. You're one. You're not different. There's no two of you. There is only one of you. You need to sort yourself out. It was never a thing of separate people. They were always the same person.
Okay.
I don't know why it took so badly. It was obviously the negatives, because you think if you knew you were going back and forth and damaging your body that you might, but obviously that would be no fun for a horror movie.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
But man, the butts in that movie. Holy
they were mad
shit.
For their butts. I don't think they were real butts.
Just butts. It was fake boobs.
Oh, real
I was reading that afterwards. She was saying that every morning they'd have to go in and put on like the boob molds on her and paint them all in, make them all in, and she'd be looking in the mirror thinking, this is crazy. But yeah, butts I think were all real. Maybe that's why they focused in on the butts so much.
Maybe
they couldn't
take
focus in on the boobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a butt heavy movie.
That it is. Well, I think that's one of the main kind of points as well. Kind of like Demi Moore when she's getting older. Like she has her bum kind of drops a bit, but you're one it kind of drives home the difference.
I wonder though, is that her real butt? Because I mean, they really went in to make her body look older. Is it her? Because I mean, obviously by the end of it, she's covered in prosthetics and she's playing. And I've seen the videos. That was all practical effects.
Yeah.
She was done up. Did you see her nude come out? She posted a nude on Instagram.
Yeah,
it was her as the old lady.
I forgot that with the movies. Yeah.
Dennis Quaid was good in that as well.
I didn't recognize him for the first.
Sleazy.
Yeah, because it was just so unlike Dennis Quaid. And I was like, holy shit, it's Dennis Quaid.
Nasty fucker in it. He reminded me a lot of what's his face in Maxine? Oh, Kevin Bacon.
He
reminded me a lot of Kevin Bacon. That same kind of sleazy, that time period, that kind of. He's a sleazy fucker too. That's about it. I mean, we watched a few good ones, like we were talking about, in the sense of true crime with the Woman of the Hour, which is a really, really good movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Entertaining, really. It's a good. They followed the story pretty well. I mean, I've heard that story a few times before. Last podcast, do a good bit in it. It's the first time I had heard about him. But it's an interesting story. I mean, to know, and you can look up that footage of him on the stage with her and all that. And
I saw that when I was young, and I remember thinking, even then, that's.
But I think the only thing extra that they threw in is I don't think he came up to her outside the way they did. The way I had heard it up until this point, she got the feeling on stage as soon as she met him that something was fucking off, and talked to him backstage for a minute, and then turned around and said, I ain't taking that date.
Yeah.
And we watched The Boston Strangler.
Oh, yeah.
With Keira Knightley. Which felt very Zodiac influenced, Zodiac movie influenced.
Another good one.
Very similar to it. But a good movie as well. Boston Strangler's a weird one. We'll talk about that someday on Real Monsters. But they actually think that the guy that was done for it might have killed 1 or 2 people, but wasn't the actual strangler. And there might have been like 2 or 3 different people claiming to be the strangler. It could have been a similar situation to other crimes where the guy isn't caught, that some murders would be thrown in. Like, there's a few extras. We'll be talking about the Zodiac on Real Monsters again in the next couple of weeks. And in that situation, there's a couple of murders that aren't in the official canon of Zodiac kills that they suspect could be Zodiac kills, but then they're like, there's also kills that look an awful lot like Zodiac kills that could just be people capitalizing and killing someone they want out of the way and saying the Zodiac did it. And I think it's a similar situation here with the Boston Strangler, that a few of the people killed by the Strangler didn't match up, and it was a sense of, it's especially in the Boston Strangler, actually, it was a big thing that they were like, a few of these aren't copycats, they're just people using this as an opportunity to get rid of people. I think there might have even been a small degree of that happening in the Son of Sam as well, which is why people believe there's multiple Sons of Sams.
Sons of Sam.
It's a cult, apparently.
Oh,
I think we talked about it a little bit, didn't we? When we were talking about the New York Ripper, I think we might have done it on Real Monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they were fun, good movies, and it kind of leads into what I want to do next week, because when I had watched all these movies, it's kind of like I need a little bit of a break. So, like I said at the start, I switched over to true crime documentaries, and I want to talk about a few of them briefly next week.
Okay.
Because they're going to come up in Real Monsters over the next few weeks, because I've learned some crazy shit, man. The Zodiac stuff, I've found out some crazy mental stuff. I found out about this guy in the torso killings. I mean, that's... that guy, what did I say his second name was again? You thought it was Cunningham. It is Cottingham.
Here. Richard Cottingham.
Richard Cottingham, man. And they caught him for 5 murders, and it turns out he did a lot more. And so he claims to have done even more than that. He claims to have went state to state. Like, it's just...
Wikipedia gives the victims as 18 to 19 plus.
Well, he in the documentary claims hundreds, but won't say any. It's weird. We'll talk about it because it's something that you really have to get into, because it's a very long case that got drawn up for a long time. Another person I was still currently watching a documentary about is Haddon Clark. And that's a very fun story. So there's a lot of things I want to talk about. And we kind of might run through them next week and then expand on them on Real Monsters over the next few weeks as well, if we get a chance. Outside that, this week we have a new show, Wrestling with My Missus. This week, it's my first wrestling show. I wasn't going to do a wrestling show. I'm not going to get too far into it now, because we're going to be explaining this all on the wrestling show itself. Yeah. But this week, I suppose it's my shoot interview. I've never done a shoot interview. I am a former wrestler, briefly a wrestler. Never got to say my piece, but I'm genuinely, I plan 100%. At this stage, you'll have heard it, because it'll come out on Thursday, and this is Friday coming out. But they're going to be recorded out of sequence. All I can say is, I know going into this, I plan to be extremely truthful with everything in my wrestling experience, my wrestling journey, my wrestling experience.
Okay.
Even down to what I was doing, everything I was doing wrong, why it didn't work, all the fucking stuff that was going on in the meantime, everything we did to try and make it work, and the experience we had.
Okay.
But I'm going to get right into it and get that out there. And it's been mainly so that I can show you why you can listen to me about wrestling. Because that was one of the things about this. Again, I'll say on the show why I wasn't going to do a wrestling podcast. But lately I kind of realised I was holding myself back, because it's probably the thing I know the most about in the world.
Yeah.
Do you know?
So it makes sense for you to do it.
So I might as well talk about it. And if people want to listen, they can listen. If they don't, they don't have to. But this is me kind of giving you my CV and telling you where I've been, what I've done, and why I think you should listen to me when it comes to talking about wrestling. And when it comes to the wrestling show in the long term, it's not going to be a review show. I'm not going to sit down and say, okay, here's Raw segment 1. Here's Raw segment 2. Here's Dynamite segment 1. Here's Dynamite segment 2. I'm going to look at feuds and stuff like that and say, right, well, here's this feud. This is what I would do. This is where I think they're going with it. This is what I would do. Or if there's something that's fucking failing, what I'd try and do to fix it and stuff like that. But I'm not going to go nitty gritty into every match and every move that was done. It'll be more about the feud and the storyline and where it's going and stuff like that. Because things are hot at the moment. Things are super fucking hot. Moxley's over there fucking kicking everyone's head and fucking taping them up and putting plastic bags over their heads. Roman's fighting with his cousins and it's fun.
Fighting with his cousins. Sounds so Irish, doesn't it?
Judgment Day about to explode for the second time. We're going to talk about all that the week after, but I mean, this week it'll just be
an introduction.
Yes. So on top of that, we got Real Monsters. This week was Enfield. Next week we're going to be getting into maybe Cottenham. I think we might talk about Mr. Torso Killer, Mr. Santa Claus himself. We might talk a bit about him this week. Coming, but we have got the old Enfield one. It was one we did about a year ago, but I held up and we were talking about Hill House this week on the main show, so we just thought this is the perfect one to put forward because we're just getting back into things. We're just getting back into the groove of things. We're finally back and doing stuff. And we should on Patreon have our first video podcast up this week. It's Alive on video. So if you want to watch us, you can go over there. It's $5 a month. You get the first 7 days free. You can check us out. And hopefully then they'll go up on YouTube maybe about a week later or something like that.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to do that across the board with all the shows coming next week to start setting up the camera and just videoing everything. At the moment, everything is set up nicely. Storage is a bit of an issue.
Be fine.
Turns out HD videos take up a lot of space. But I'll make it work. Okay, that's it. Talk to you next week.
See you later.